Hi guys, this is Brett from crowdedbrain.co.uk. Hopefully you'll be able to make out this video today. The conditions are pretty overcast, but I just wanted to show you the new Blackberry Passport, and it is a pretty big device, and one of the devices that is a little unusual in a sense that it doesn't have a widescreen display. However, that shouldn't really put you off really from what is possibly, for me personally, one of the best BlackBerry devices that I've used to date. What it obviously steps it aside from some of the other products is it does have a physical QWERTY keyboard. Though I say it's physical QWERTY keyboard, however it does utilise a lot of the touch kind of screen in order to get the numbers and the special characters. But I just wanted to show you really the design and a little bit of the box contents that you get with the Blackberry Passport. Now normally I don't go into too much detail in terms of the actual box contents, but it's worth noting actually that I found that the way that the Blackberry Passport was packaged is possibly one of the best packagings I've ever seen. There's so much thought has gone into this device. I'm just going to try and pan out a little bit. Okay, so I've just opened the outer box of the Blackberry Passport, and like I said, hopefully you'll be able to make this out. Like I said, the conditions aren't ideal at the moment for videoing, but this is a kind of a rough look at what the entire inside of the contents looks like. You get your Blackberry device here. You also get in the box a protective back cover, which slots obviously onto the Blackberry really nicely. You also get a screen protector as well that comes with the box. So, for example, you'll be able to use that on the screen straight off the bat. So there's no additional protection is required for the device. And you also get kind of a nice pamphlet, which is basically welcoming you to the Blackberry Passport. And you can just see here, even it obviously thanks you for purchasing it. So it's just a really nice and neat and professionally packaged device. A lot of thought and attention has gone into this. You also have as well, this is just to access a collection of apps that it thinks obviously that demonstrates the power of the device. You can scan that QR code in there. Now underneath I have removed the contents as well, but you get a further box which features all your USB mains charger plugs. You get, again, they're all in a kind of like a kind of well padded case. Everything just looks so professional. You get a pair of headphones which are actually quite functional. Again, you get a series of spare earbuds there. The actual earphones go inside this little box, which you can just make out here, and like everything is just so well thought out. It's really just nice to see that some attention has gone into the way the device has been packaged. Not that the BlackBerry Passport needs like additional protection, because the build quality is absolutely fantastic. It's so well built. It kind of puts the Samsung Galaxy devices to shame. Like I said, let's have a look at the design now. Hopefully you'll be able to make out the Blackberry Passport. It is pretty overcast. I've got the lights on, but hopefully we'll be able to make it out. Like I said, build quality on this is absolutely first class. It is so well constructed. It is a little bit on the heavier side, so for one-handed operation it's going to be a little bit more of a challenge. But for two-handed operation I find it really comfortable to use. Though my hands aren't really that small, so there is obviously that to consider, obviously, if you decide to go for this device. It is obviously targeted for business use primarily, but it does have a lot of consumer touches, and in terms of specification as well, this just has everything covered. In terms of the design itself, I suppose, in terms of, although it is a big device, if I put obviously compare it to the size of a Samsung Galaxy S2, you can see it's roughly the same height. It's only obviously the width that is different. On the actual bottom you've got the physical QWERTY keyboard, which I've mentioned before, and if I just turn it to the side, you've got the volume keys as well, and you've also got this key which is kind of almost like it acts as the if you've seen like Google now, it's like an assistant, so you can basically use the BlackBerry with your voice to do things like call contacts, that sort of thing. So you just basically push that in. Also works in a media player point of view to pause and play back your music. So the small button here, which is used on other BlackBerry devices, basically has multiple functions. At the top, if you can just make that out, you've got your 3.5mm headphone port, you've got your power button. At the back, it's not a removable battery, which is obviously the only downside, but it is a pretty large battery. I think it's about 3,450 milliamps, and that produces some pretty impressive battery results. But if I just take this off, at the top here you've basically got access to your nano SIM slot and your micro SD card slot. Now on the review sample I had, you did get an 8GB card in the box, but I'm not sure if that is actually a standard thing or not. But the actual micro SD card slot will support up to 128GB cards. You've also got at the back, you've got your 13 megapixel camera with a small LED flash. At the bottom you've got your micro USB port. If I just basically pan out a bit so you can see with a bit more light conditions, you just about make out you've got a set of stereo speakers. Just turn on the device. Again, hopefully you'll be able to make this out. This is your kind of main lock screen. You can basically access your mail by swiping across to the right, and then you just tap to open. So it does have a lot of useful functions. If I swipe down, you get your clock, which you can then use to adjust all your time. Basically swiping up on the screen will close apps down. If I swipe up again, and any basically apps that you've been using, so if I, for example, I quickly go into Twitter, and basically that opens. If you do that, it then goes to what's known as the multitasking screen here, and obviously those thumbnails then can get live updates. But as you can see, just by tapping the screens, this is multitasking as it should be. Really quick multitasking support, and you can obviously have a whole row of icons here, and they will basically get smaller to accommodate how many open programs that you've got. Like I said before, it does have quite a lot of powerful spec in this phone to handle it. As you can see, really the list of default apps are quite impressive actually. I've added a few myself, but by default you get things like the Blackberry World App Store, and you also get the Amazon App Store. This works basically the same way as the Kindle Fire, so you can download Android style apps to the phone. And I was able to basically use that to install things like current games like Angry Birds. And as you can see here as well, I've got basically I've been able to drag and drop. Just by holding down that icon, I can drag and drop into other icons to create these folders. So it works like a kind of a standard Android or iOS kind of interface in that regard. But you do have things like documents to go, so you can create Word documents and spreadsheets on the fly. I'm just going to show you that. Hopefully, like I said before, you'll be able to make this out. I'm just going to try and increase the brightness here so you can see the screen. Let's just do that so you can see the screen. So the thing with the keyboard is, though, it does have a dual functionality. So if I start typing here, if I then tap on the screen, so I just tap to bring up that, you can just see that cursor there. I can then use the keyboard and swipe across, because this actual keyboard has like a kind of touch sensitive option, which makes it really useful for when you're basically doing things like fine tuning of the editing. It's almost like works like a mouse, and this is more evident if I go to the web browser. Now if I basically do that, you can just see I am swiping up and down the web browser. So I can obviously do that on the touch screen, but it's just really cool having the option to be able to do it with a keyboard. It really does is a useful function, really good as well for when you're using manipulating photos. I think the 4:3 ratio style screen isn't a problem at all when you're web browsing, and things like your kind of web pages themselves do look pretty good on the screen. I think the actual screen resolution and the vibrancy of it are really good. Again, I can just basically tap on that, and if you see here with the I'll show you the multitasking again. So here we go, back to that, there we go, back to that, back to that. How fluid and fast is that? You know, this shows really, this is basically showing its competitors how to do multitasking support. This is the actual Blackberry App Store. I'll just zoom in there so you can see the screen a bit better. So you get a range of applications or games categories, but obviously for more consumer side of things you've also got access to the Amazon App Store as well, which is essentially the same one you get on the Kindle Fire devices. You get as well as standard Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. You can download Skype as well to utilise the front facing camera. Forgot to mention that earlier in the design. You do get a front facing camera, it's 2 megapixel. You also get, obviously you've got a internal speaker here for obviously when you're listening to phone calls. That's also at the top. Just increase the brightness there so you can see. I've downloaded a few other apps like news apps here. I'll show you the camera interface in a second. You get YouTube as well, but that's really just takes you to a link like on your browser, and you'll see the only issue really with the screen is that it has got a 4:3 ratio, which basically means you're just going to get a lot of black bars at the top and the bottom. And it's just, I don't know, let's just put this on. So essentially that's what happens, you just get the black bars at the top and the bottom of the screen.
What's going on, guys? It's Pat and welcome back to the challenge games. Hey guys! And today me and Jet are facing
You notice that when I've minimised that to the background, still the audio comes through, because obviously the multitasking side is true multitasking and the actual apps are running in the background.
I think I'm gonna vote for the next fight.
Oh yeah.
So let's just minimise that. So obviously that's the issue, I would say, with the screen, but I think that's the only kind of problem that you'll face. But personally I don't really have too much of an issue with it. The only thing is you sometimes do lack the detail because obviously this screen, the image is actually smaller. You do, for example, have a video player and you do get some, so you do get some customization in terms you can actually, you know, depending on the video, stretch it to a certain degree. So that's, again, you do get the black bars at the top and the bottom, but I still think the quality of the actual screen shines through here. Music player, let's just show you the music player. That has album art support, you know, your standard shuffle, repeat functions. It also has a built-in graphic equalizer. But one of the good things about this actual phone is that the actual quality of the speakers is pretty good. I just want to show you the interface quickly. So you've got all these standard functions here. You've got your equalizer down here for, you know, improving the quality as well, to enhance it to obviously how you want it. That works without having to have the headphones plugged in. The actual interface as well does have the option, I'll just go back here, you've also got a built-in radio as well if you plug the headphones in. What it does as well is when you, even if you say you shut down your phone and reboot it, it still remembers the last track that you were listening to. Like I said, it's definitely a functional music app, that's for sure. You've got other things like Dropbox. These are all kind of your online storage, though obviously it's got 32 gigabytes of storage anyway. Interestingly, you do get a story maker bit of software. This is obviously ties in with the camera, so you can select, say, a previous video, and then you can add effects to it. And that sort of thing. I'll just quickly show you the camera. And we'll just basically do that. So this is basically your camera interface. You can swipe down from the top as well to bring up the settings option. And this is essentially the settings you get. Video size, it goes up to 1080p at 60 frames per second. You've got face detection. You've also got continuous video focus, so if you want the device to automatically focus when you're taking videos, you can. You've also got some basic functions here, so you can quickly select HDR, the ratio. Scenes, you haven't got that many scenes, but the auto function does actually a good job in terms of producing the best quality you can. The HDR function is a little bit on the slow side. As you can see, the autofocus is also a little bit on the slow side, but there's the autofocus. And I'll show you the difference with HDR. You have to have a steadier hand here. So but as you notice here, if you look at the top, if I just quite quickly show you that, tap here to turn it off because normal lighting is detected. So it is quite useful actually. So that's just a basic look at the actual apps you get with it. So you can pull down the kind of like the shortcut bar at the top, and this gives you quick access to all of the kind of the main settings like your Wi-Fi. You got a flashlight option, brightness control, or I can get straight into the settings option. As you can see, everything is super smooth. This is obviously the multitasking in operation, even though I opened that up like a good 5-10 minutes ago. Still easy to access, and that's, like I said, what you call multitasking support. So there you go, really. That's an overview of the design and the box content of the Blackberry device. Just wanted to show you this. I know it's daft actually. When you're turning it off, it actually gives you a countdown timer of how long you've got left. So again, that's like a lovely, nice little. I suppose it's not a major feature, but I think that's quite a nice touch. But I'd just like to say thanks for watching, guys, and stay tuned for more videos, news, and reviews from craddybrain.co.uk. Thank you.